out, then you are telling other countries to pull out like ourselves. And I think the writer wrote something which were not there. Everything is entirely to the Brazilian to clear those things. And we cannot make any decision for anything. Not Kenya going to go there. Kenya is going to go there. We are preparing a team to go there. Also, any decision is an international Olympic committee to make a decision if those things are serious. But to me, I think it's going to be clear by the Brazilian organizing committee and the government of Brazil are going to take care. We want to be in Brazil participating as Kenya and with the other team from the other part of the world.
It's very difficult to give advice to people who've devoted the last X number of years training for that. So that's something that I think is a very personal decision. What we can do, with the CDC and the NIH could do, is to just give them the facts and the evidence-based information. And Dr. Schuckert already mentioned that. As an infection, Zika is generally a relatively mild, in fact, inconsequential infection, with the possibility that a very, very rare event of a Guillain-Barré syndrome. But as an infection, it isn't serious. The issue that we're focusing on is the issue with pregnant women. And even under that, if you follow the guidelines that are already out by the CDC about pregnant women traveling and making sure that if in fact they're pregnant or want to get pregnant, that they seriously consider putting it off, and men who go there and might come back to the United States and might have a wife or a sexual partner who's pregnant, to be very careful that they don't transmit it. So those guidelines stay the way they are, and I think those are the kind of things that people should consider when they're going to make their decision.
So that's it. The talks continue as regards the Zika virus. Officials of different sporting federations are taking preventive and precautive measures to ensure that athletes are safe.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they said a whole lot of stuff and all that. So I think maybe the women, like he says, if you're going for the Olympics and you know you're going to get pregnant next 20 years, just try and stay safe and cover up your body and all that. Try to avoid
getting pregnant.
No, you don't get it. I mean, after like, okay. All athletes are going, just try and be properly dressed and all that. Try to avoid it, because when you get beaten, it's really, it says it's really not that infectious, but it's the aftermath of it, in relation to women and all that.
We all love sports. We want to see the Olympics go ahead as planned, and
without trouble.
In full blast. But health is paramount.
Very, very important. Very important, because I remember Morocco pulled out of the AFCON because of the Ebola virus. It's like, come on, we prefer to stay safe, not just us, people coming to the country too, and then they pushed it away. So, but this is the Olympics, guys.
The bigger one,
the biggest sporting event in the world,
so I just believe they will be able to manage the situation, enough, just to reduce whatever risk is out there. Yeah.
But again, on the flip side, all of these speculations and talks that because the IAAF and their doping committee and all will be waiting, particularly for Kenya and even the United States of America. So
where'd you get that from?
Everyone talks that with the war going on with Russia, Kenya is the next place to look at it. They can't.
Why think?
It's to wait for them in Brazil.
No, I think the Kenyans. If you check, when I spoke with some of their players, they talked about the way they train. They talked about the way, they know that hard works pay and all that. And they talked about their altitude that give them that kind of an advantage. You're training in that particular altitude all the time. So when you're coming to another environment, it's more like a piece of cake for you.
We had Kenyans.
So I think that's...
We had Kenyans who fitted in.
That's what I'm saying. That's those that really train very... If you check. Come on, I think it's actually... Straight to the paper.
You're trying to say Kenyans don't...
I'm not trying to just, bully that. But I think it is not really...
You can't
if you're winning and winning, people have reasons to look at you. So
countries are in violation of the anti-doping rules.
That's right.
Yeah, the onus is on the federation, on the IAAF, to catch the cheaters.
Investigate.
I don't like talking about that. I just feel athletics is clear. I mean, it should be clean because if it's not, you just wanna enjoy it anymore.
I just love repeating that because when that Kenyan told me he fainted, I was like, oh. In the marathon, if Kenyan didn't finish, you fainted, and I know that yes, Lagos, the sun here is not smiling
at all. Exactly, you talked about the heat and all that, and you still have them, finishing tops and all. Okay, we're going to look at the papers now, and of course, Bada Johnson is joining us on the segment. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you.
I'm very fine. I'm very fine. Suffice to say that I ran the marathon and I didn't faint.
You did not finish because I was actually waiting for you at the finish line. You did not finish it.
I ran at least 40 kilometers.
No.
For the simple reason
was it up to 40 kilometers?
Yeah, I did.
No.
I did. I ran straight off. I ran straight off to Federal Palace Hotel because I needed to be at an event at 12. My intention was to finish before 10 o'clock. And since I couldn't get past the Milan Bridge,
you were still...
I just ran straight to my hotel.
Why do I
suspect this you're wrong?
Did you start? Did you join on?
Of course, I started from the stadium.
You started from.
Yes,
you were not among those that actually joined.
Suffice to say again that 2 days before I had done 50 kilometers.
Yeah.
And it's not something I did for the first time. I've been, very I've been very, very hard for it over the years. It's been a childhood ambition, really. Yeah, but I've always been doing more sprints than long distance. Yeah. So. It was fun.
Anyways, now that you bring it up, like since you were part of the marathon itself, like how would you rate the organization?
Oh, well, I thought there were lapses. There were obvious areas where improvements can be made, but being the first edition, I didn't think that it was bad at all. In fact, I think it exceeded my expectation. And more importantly, I thought that the turnout, the response of Lagosians was phenomenal. Running through the streets and seeing people line the streets, I didn't expect that. All the way from stadium through Oworo-Shoki, up until the point we joined Third Milan Bridge, you could see people everywhere. And the reason they couldn't climb the bridge to line the streets, I thought, was because we probably thought, how would we get back home? If not, they probably would have done that. So it was, I thought, not a bad first, if I could say, first season. Look forward to subsequent years.
And hopefully you get to finish it. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's go straight to Sports Day now. That's the people we're starting with. Ozil fears Leicester threat. And of course, PSG joins Busquets chase, and there's another one here, Messi to face Valencia. Okay, definitely, I think Nat'l rates behind Aguero, of course, definitely. So then MNK misses Liverpool clash. So which one are you going to pick?
I think I'll start off from the Premier League title race. Ozil faring Leicester. I think everyone who's seen Leicester play recently should fear them. Those guys have lost all inhibitions. They've lost all fears. They genuinely believe that they can win the Premier League trophy this season.
Even though they're not saying it.
Yeah, even though they're not saying it, even though they're being cautious about playing up expectations and all. But the way they're going about their business, you'll be a very brave man to bet against Leicester. Absolutely. To go to the Etihad and defeat City in the manner that they did. I won't put my money on Arsenal beating them, next weekend. So I think Ozil has every reason to fear Leicester. Everyone should fear Leicester City, especially with the presence of the monks around the team. People are saying, are they doing juju?
No, seriously, yeah, incredible. They're bringing the monks.
The monks came around.
They're in the dressing room.
Look, what you believe is what you believe. Yeah. And if he's working for, he's working for.
The monks from Thailand, right?
So these guys
they're doing the business on the pitch. You can't argue
what
against
a team. What a team.
Well, we're coming to the Complete Sports now.
Yeah.
Complete Sports newspaper. And Bada just wants your sincere opinion in this issue. I'll read 3 headlines and then you pick one. Top one says, Minister stops Olise sack. With the rider wants NFF to consider Egypt matches before taking action. Eagles coach faces 6 million naira fine for unguarded outbursts. The second one says, Olise, why apologize to NFF? Then Swan gives Eagles coach 7-day ultimatum to validate dubious journalist claim. All of this coming out of that Olise's disturbing video.
Olise's meltdown.
Yeah, but we are beginning to ignore the big picture, which is in March.
Yeah, we are, and that's why I think that maybe the Sport Ministry as well as the NFF are trying to play cool and focus on what is important. In the middle of all the dust that Olise has raised, you've got to be able to stay focused on what's priority, and priority is to get past the double header against Egypt and be in a position to qualify. So I think that even if they wanted to take more strict measures against Olise for what is inexcusable, really, what absolutely unnecessary that he has done. They're tempering down things because the focus has got to be Egypt.
That's right.
So yesterday I listened to the NFF chairman or president, Amaju Pinnick, on the radio show talking about how he was shocked at the maturity with which the minister handled the event earlier in the day when they had a 1-hour chat about the Olise incident. Yes, there's a temptation to want to, act on the spur of the moment in the heat of your emotions. But I think if we fire Olise now, we may be worse off for it. He obviously should pay for some of the things that he said. It could be a fine, maybe 6 million naira or
6 million naira.
6 million is a lot, but that's just a little over his monthly salary. So I don't know how they came up with that figure, but it should obviously get a memo, get a query.
So that if he gets to pay the 6 million, so you have to guide his mouth.
No, that doesn't mean that. Or
you'll have to edit well, because he actually tweeted that how dare I insult 170 million people who I love and have shown me so much love. Please forgive the error of editing.
See, it's not the first time, Cecilia. There was a time when Nigeria played a game, I can't remember what opposition we beat, I think Cameroon, and he went on Twitter, tweeted about the detractors being put to shame or something like that, and he was expressing support or appreciation for those who supported them as though they were the only true fans, and then he went back and deleted the tweet very quickly. And then he's done this. There's no telling what he could do next. What it means is that this guy has got to be a lot more mature. He's got to understand his position as national team manager and understand that that position demands a particular, code of conduct. He can't just be acting anyhow. He's one who is predisposed to being very emotional about things, and that's what triggered the rant, because a lot of the issues that he tried to address by using very, very strong language, he could actually have spoken about without being insultive or without being that abrasive about stuff.
Just call it press conference.
Exactly,
Exactly.
So he doesn't seem to me like someone who thinks things through first before he does them. And so there's no telling what he will do next.
That's why I talked about error of editing.
Well, the apology doesn't mean that he won't surprise us another time. I won't put my money on Olise not doing another, more shocking thing down the line. But they've got to rein him in and get him to focus at this moment, and maybe give him one final warning to say, hey, if you get up to another indiscretion, that would be it for us. And I do hope that, because this guy is a very intelligent, man.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it makes it even more surprising that someone with such, such exposure, such intellectual capacity can get up to, such indiscretions. So,
let me ask you a question. Social media, does it have a way of actually turning
I don't think so. I think whether or not there is social media.
You feel there's always an avenue for you to actually express yourself, and you can just do anything.
But he could have called a journalist and could have granted that same interview.
That wasn't done.
Super have a media officer.
Exactly.
Express yourself to him and let him use his professionalism to send out the message. You don't just go, you sit in front of a computer and then you
take your time.
arrange yourself, you greet Nigerians, tell them your name, and then you shoot.